Hello, friends. Thanks for tuning into this week's Brain Food. I thought it would be a good time to just sit down and talk with you about what happened when I went from an hourly billing model to a project-based billing model. And if you'll give me 5 minutes, I'll walk you through that and hopefully make you think a little bit about, are you getting what you're worth in the work that you're doing for other companies right now? When I started working with clients in 2009, I had done a kind of a knee-jerk thing on pricing. I didn't give it a lot of thought. The world that I had come from was consulting. And in that world, you worked an hour, recorded your time, and you billed an hour on your invoice. And you just, at the end of a 2-week period or a month period, you wrapped up all those hours and sent an invoice over. And so that's what I did. And it was great. It was a good way to start because I was learning a lot as I started my own business. But the thing is that I started figuring out a couple years into it that I was packing my schedule, because at some point when you have a lifestyle business like mine, you only have so many hours in the day that you can actually book. So I would have a client in the morning and a client in the afternoon. Typical engagements were 3 to 4 hours. So if I worked an 8-hour day, that's a $1,200 invoice that I'm sending out for 1 or 2 clients. And that was great. But the thing that I realized, and these were through conversations with Mick Johnson as well and other people, Jennifer Peak, if you're all out there, throw some names out there of people I talked to. The thing that we realized is that, hey, a company doing this kind of marketing, if they just open an ad in the Business Journal newspaper in your community, that's $1,500 plus for a half or a quarter page ad. And so I realized, my gosh, I'm working, let's say 4 hours for a company. I'm charging them $600 and giving them real visibility to their network. It's just not an apples to apples comparison. And I wasn't charging enough in the marketing world for what I was delivering. And so I shifted my model to a monthly fee that's $1,000 if it's a not-for-profit, $1,500 to $2,000 for for-profits. Doing the blogging thing. LinkedIn training was based more on the number of people involved, because if you think about training, a common training fee is anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 and up from there, depending on how much training you're doing, how often, how many people, all those things. So instead of hourly, I switched to project-based, and I also kind of compared what I was delivering from a value perspective to other things that a company would be doing in their market, so that it was kind of in line. I'll tell you, today, $1,500 a month for a company that's doing this kind of marketing where they're telling stories on a weekly basis on their blog and pushing status updates out to all their social media accounts, and that really, really works, is a drop in the bucket from a marketing spend for most companies. The idea of $600 a month, it's just obviously, honestly, some clients were like, does he really know what he's doing if it's $600 a month? Because it was so cheap at the time. So it was it was a sea change for me to switch to this project-based thing. And what that allowed me to do is dial back the amount of time I was having to cram into every single day, every single month, every single year to make the living that I wanted to make. I was able to schedule a half-day client per day, and that gave me more flexibility in the other 4 hours of that day to deal with problems that came in on the fly, take on sales calls, go to coffees with people to network, different things like that that are also critically important to running a business. When I was having to cram my schedule full because I was an hourly model and working a 4-hour shift in the morning and a 4-hour shift in the afternoon and then catching up on invoicing and billing at night, that's a hard struggle. And sure, it's great revenue and all that stuff, but I was not charging what I was worth at the time. So I wanted to just talk about that in the Brain Food today. I don't know what your pricing model is, but if you're doing services for companies and it's hourly versus project-based, it's one of those things to kind of consider and think about. What are they getting from the work that you're doing with them? I don't care if it's 2 hours a month or 20 hours a month. I love that story. You know, the guy goes in and does this consulting thing, and he's in there for 30 minutes and fixes this problem that a company could not fix in their IT system. He sends an invoice for $10,000. The president of the company is like, hey, you were there here for 30 minutes. And the answer is, nobody else knew how to fix the problem. And that problem was costing them well more than $10,000 a day. so he could go back in and undo what he did, but of course the owner of the company is not wanting that and pays the bill. You need to be charging what value you're bringing to the companies that you work with. And if you're making a huge impact in whether it's marketing or IT or whatever it is, HR, payroll, whatever it is, it should be comparable to the value that you're bringing them. And so that was my brain food for this week. I hope you found value in this. If you liked the video, please do act on that and like it on YouTube. Consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate that. And I'll see you next week.